Life Unscripted Podcast with Rosabel, the place where genuine conversations meet inspiring stories, personal growth, and a dash of humor. I'm Rosabel, your host, inviting you to embrace life's unpredictable journey. Celebrate your unique story and find joy in everyday moments. Get comfortable, stay curious, and let's explore together. Unscripted, unapologetic, and unstoppable. Hello, beautiful souls. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Life Unscripted, where we dig deep, get real, and uncover the stories that change lives. I'm your host, Rosabel Sophil, and today's episode, this one is for the books. Joining me is someone whose life story could literally be a movie. From sleeping on the cold streets of Manchester to transforming lives through neuroscience and compassion, here we have Dr. Robb Kelly. He's not only a world-renowned neuroscience coach and author, but he's also living proof that you can rewire your life no matter how dark it gets. Dr. Kelly, welcome to the Life Unscripted.
Thank you, Rosabel. Great to be here, guys.
Thank you. Your journey is so powerful, Dr. Kelly. For those who might not know, can you take us back to where it all began and what were those dark days like for you?
So I grew up in an alcoholic family. I also grew up in a musical family. So I was playing music since the age of 3. I was on stage professionally with my auntie and uncle at the age of 9. That's when I took my first drink of alcohol. Nobody knew anything about alcoholism back in the day when I was around. It was never mentioned. So although I took that drink, kind of felt safe and secure taking the drink. And every time I played, I drank alcohol. And it made me feel a lot less anxious and nervous, and all that would go away. So it was kind of a coping tool all through school. I managed to get to college, and all through college, the drinking, it was fine. I wanted to be a pro musician, so I had bands. I played in bands. We never really made it. A lot of people around me made it. The Smiths made it, Oasis made it. All these Manchester bands. I was always on the outside as a studio musician. I went to college, keep drinking. Some crazy things would happen, but hey, it's college. And then came out of college, went into the police force. Probably lasted, I don't even know how much it was, 3, 4, 5 months before they fired me for drinking on duty, which I was, I was okay with, but they called me an alcoholic. That's what really annoyed me, that they called me an alcoholic. Got married, started another business, had 2 children, a lot of bad stuff happened in there. And then finally, it had to happen. I tried all sorts of stuff. I tried rehabs, tried AA, and eventually I lost everything and became homeless. I remember the first day on the streets, I just kept thinking to myself, where the hell did that go wrong? Because I had the big house, I had the new Mercedes, me and my wife every 12 months. We had these little children, life was good. I was drinking from 7 a.m. in the morning till 10 p.m. at night, never really being sober, just drinking and driving. There's a lot of horrible stuff happened when I drank. I left my children in places I shouldn't. It was just horrific. But I stabbed my wife 3 times one night because she wouldn't let me finish my bottle of vodka. So she went to hospital. I had to flee to Spain because there was an attempted murder charge out on me. 3 months later, it was all sorted out. I came back and she was waiting at the door for me. And she says, I love you to the day I die, but you're not going to kill our children. And she left. The next day I got them back for a couple of hours, I thought, but I was in charge of 2 days with them, and they weren't changed or changed diapers or fed food for 2 days because I was in a complete drunken stupor for them 2 days. So yeah, it's a crazy ride, but I don't know, man. It's just, if I can do it, anybody can do it, kind of thing.
Wow. What kept you going those days when perhaps would have been easier to give up? Because you mentioned that you tried several different things and nothing seemed to work. What was that like?
Rephrase the question again. I'm sorry.
So what kept you going when perhaps, I mean, you could have give up? Was it the thought of that now you have lost completely your marriage, your kids? What was it like?
Well, when you're an alcoholic, alcoholics are born, drug addicts are made. So alcoholism is hereditary. Is you fall into this, when you look at the neuroscience about the hypothalamus. So when part of your survival, part of the brain is telling you to drink alcohol. It's very hard to stop. So the hypothalamus controls temperature, and it also tells us to eat food, drink water every day to survive. We don't even have to think about it. That's just what we do to survive. Well, at a drinking point of the alcoholic, the hypothalamus turns around and tells the alcohol to drink alcohol only. That's why we can go days or weeks without food or water. So even looking back, or anybody looking at me would absolutely beg me to stop drinking because I'm going to die. It doesn't work like that. The reason why it's a disease because the choice has been taken away. So even after 14 months on the street, I personally didn't think I had a drink problem, though it was absolutely 100% I had a drink problem, but I was in so much denial. I wanted to die on the streets. 2 occasions, like I said, I died twice on the streets, and they brought me back to life again. And I absolutely hated them then for that, because it's like I just didn't want to live in this world anymore. And then one morning, about 14 months after being on the streets, I dropped down to my hands and knees. I started crying like a baby, and wasn't crying because I lost everything. I was crying because right there and then, after all the stuff I've been through, after all the homelessness, the poverty, the abandonment, right there that night, I realized that I couldn't stop drinking. I looked up to the sky and I said, if there is a God up there, I can't do this on my own anymore. And that's when my life changed. 30 seconds later, a guy came around the corner called Derek. We had a conversation. He took me back to his house. I showered. He fed me. And that's where my journey started.
Wow, that is beautiful, powerful. Now, it is my understanding that you have spoken openly about how having unresolved trauma can actually fuel addiction. And this is such an important topic for me to that often goes undiscussed because I would like for you to take us especially in your background, to tell us why is trauma so often the hidden roof of addiction?
Childhood trauma, as we knew it 10, 20, 30 years ago, was the death of a parent, car crash, plane crash, stuff like that. And then we realized as neuroscience started to enter the mental health part of life, we realized that there's a lot more to it than that. So alcoholics, addicted brains, we hear things different because we have self-sabotage neural pathways and other things, the amygdala with the trauma. But trauma is the gateway drug, is what I tell everybody. Everybody has trauma. Oh, well, I haven't got trauma. My dad was amazing. We lived in $1 million house. You had childhood trauma. Everybody does. Depending what trauma it was. If you're an addict and alcoholic, a little trauma that my brother would think is nothing, I think is disastrous. And I hide it away. And in 10, 20, 30 years' time, when I'm not coping with life or my relationships are not lasting or I can't keep a job, it's that little piece of trauma back then in childhood that I kind of hushed up and forgotten all about. The thing is, with my day, is most of the trauma and sexual assaults that happened to me was normalized. It was taken as a joke, or when my priest molested me, it was like, I told my mom, she hit me with a wooden shoe, sent me up to bed, and I didn't have any dinner that night. It was like totally just, do never talk about this stuff. And we hold that trauma in, hold that trauma in. So we've traced trauma and food to addiction, drug addiction. We've tied all sorts of stuff with trauma. It bodes well for alcoholism, depression, anxiety, PTSD, all this stuff in the subconscious brain that's just laying dormant. And it's very patient. Trauma is very patient as it sits in the subconscious brain and it hits us at the right time, unfortunately. So unless you
Yes.
go back and you uncover, discover, discard of that piece of trauma, they may be 100. But unless you get through every single one, you will never succeed. You will never be happy. You'll never be emotionally available to anybody. And this is what we see today. It's like 98% of people that come to us with all sorts of ailments goes back to childhood trauma. And once we clear that up, we can clear the mind and the brain, and we can go on to have an absolutely amazing life. But there's definitely work to be done around that.
And so, how can someone start recognizing? I know it's perhaps a lot more complex than that, but how can someone begin to recognize that their addiction might be masking deeper emotional wounds?
Well, all addictions do. It's just about, if you're taking drugs every day and drinking and you're masking, covering up those feelings. The big indicator is if your life is not as good as you imagined it would be. That's when that's alarm bells are ringing there. So then we use drugs more. If we're not an alcoholic, we abuse alcohol, we drink more to try and forget instead of dealing with it. So when a deer is hit by a car and doesn't die, what it does is phenomenal. Human beings should take notice. It's hit by a car, it stays stationary for about 2 or 3 seconds. Then it jumps to its feet. What it does next is incredible. It shakes violently for about 3 seconds, and then it carries on with its day. The same time tomorrow, the same day might cross the same road and in the same car. What it has done by this shaking is it shakes all the anxiety, the fear, and the trauma off right there and then and carries on. Human beings don't do that. Keep stuff down and stuff down and stuff down until our life starts to go a mess and we don't know why, and then we lead you back to where it all went wrong. Then you can actually put them together, but on your own, the two don't correlate. So how can something happen here as a child take hold of me here? It's like, it really does, and it will continue to do. And most of the time, we don't recognize it. So, we try for jobs, we don't get there. Our relationships don't last. We've been married 4 times. There's something wrong with you as a person. Why do you keep self-sabotaging these relationships, job offer, business, whatever it is? Why don't you? And the bottom line is, I'm not good enough. So when someone says to me, I don't think I can do it, I'm not good enough, I can never do that, I always say to them, I want to apologize to you. And they go, what for? Somebody's put that there. Unfortunately, someone's put the brakes on your imagination. You've capped out as like 20 grand a year, 40 grand a year. That's you. Anybody can achieve anything that you want. And when I used to say that, Rosabel, people in America always used to snap back. You could be anybody you want, but you can't be president of the United States. Let's forget our political views for a second. Let's go back 6, 7, 8 years. We had a freaking business from around the country. I had no political experience whatsoever. Don't dare tell me you can't accept your dreams and complete them. It's just not true. So forget political
Yes,
views. I'm not a politician. I don't like politics, but look what he did. So if he can do something, the highest place in the world, and with no experience, can you imagine what you can do once you get your head clear? You're unstoppable. We're geniuses.
absolutely. I truly believe that. That's one of the messages that I tell people. We all have the courage. We have what it takes to do to change. Now, let's talk healing, like real science back healing. I know you use some fascinating approaches like somatic experiencing and brain spotting. Can you tell our viewers or listeners what exactly is somatic experiencing and how does it help release trauma from the body?
It's all about the body, and we don't even realize that the body has anything to do with this. You see, when I first got clean and sober and started getting to a sense of sanity, I just thought it was all in my head. You relapse, you get depressed, you fail a week before you pick up the drink or you go into depression. The body's screaming at you that there's something wrong. So we talk about a gut feeling, which people think, it's gut feeling's a joke. It's not a joke. It goes back to the tribal days. It was the only communication that anybody could get where the body says there's danger. So get ready to fight or get out of here. That's basically what the gut feeling tells us, but we don't take any notice today. So somatic experience is about listening to your body, listening to what it's telling you. If you have an ache, if you have a pain, if you have a gut feeling, if you're nervous, you've got to listen to it. So somatic experience is beautiful for that. We also use 9D therapy, which is a software with subliminal messages with a main voice and music around you, headphones on, blind, and it reroutes brains, it repatterns brains. 300 neural pathways die every day. The question is, what are we replacing them with? Are we replacing them with thoughts from the past, from our childhood trauma, or thoughts from yesterday that guy or girl said something to me and you think you were wrong? You spent all day worrying about that, fretting, and can't wait to see him again. And then when you see him, you go, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't read all that worry. 300 neural pathways die every day. What are you replacing them with? And that's what the psychology work, the neuroscience, the 9D, we've got a microbiology photomodulation unit as well. It's a medical grade red light therapy for the mask and the stomach. Somebody asked me today, what I can see the red light therapy here, but why the stomach? And I go, this is, a lot of people don't know this, is 4 chemicals need to happen every day In the brain, to be happy, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins. The two major neurotransmitters there are dopamine and serotonin. They are created in the gut. They're not created in the head like the other two. So unless
Yes.
you're healing the gut as well as the head, you're never going to get enough dopamine or serotonin to be where you want to be. And this is big, man. You got to watch what you're eating. You got to watch who you hang around with. You've got all this stuff you have to watch before you start working on yourself. Because there's no point doing all this work, somatic experience, 9D, brain spotting, which is basically going through the people into the subconscious brain, which is an amazing tool. If you're going to stay with the same friends, be in the same boring job, live at the same broken down apartment, I always tell people, and some people love it, some people hate it. If you when you get well, whatever that is from, psych wise, and you aren't changing the world, and your life hasn't changed, you're not helping others, go drink. Go drink, man, because that's not change. You just put the alcohol
Right.
in. I've done
And I
that
was going to
fast.
ask you if these methods that you were talking about, perhaps are effective for people who have tried other treatments but still feel stuck. But like you said, yes, all these things can be done. But if you are not, eating right and doing all these other things, perhaps so it seems like it's not just one thing. And by the way, talking about rewiring the brain, when we say rewiring the brain, which is a really hopeful message, what does it mean? What does it look like in practice?
So the medical fraternity found out 14 years ago that they call it neuroplasticity, which means that one time 30 years ago we thought neural pathways were solid and fixed. Like we only had one way of thinking. We only had, if your family grew up and your dad was a builder, you would become a builder. And then what we found years and years ago with not only subliminal work back in, the 30s, 40s, and 50s with our forces and, Japanese and stuff like that, is it becomes very powerful that you can reroute your life, you can repattern. Now, everything is in a pattern. So if you get up tomorrow morning, your life starts in a pattern. You might go to the restroom, shower, coffee, tea, dress, car, work. It's a pattern, and you all stick to that pattern. And if anything goes wrong with that pattern, you feel uncomfortable. Like your day seems a little off. Changing your pathways and rerouting away from patterns is to do something new. So, what we tell our guys to do, it's a long winded answer, bear with me, is the subconscious brain wakes us up in the morning. And the reason why it does is because when the body wakes from sleep, on a normal circadian sleep pattern between 3 and 5 a.m. is when the body gets most repaired. So there's really no oxygen when we wake up, very little. The subconscious brain thrives in hypoxic situations, and the conscious brain does not stand a chance. If we don't do our work in the morning, which takes about a minute, the subconscious brain will run that day. You're going to have a terrible day. Everything's going to go wrong. You feel the world's against you. So we get rid of the subconscious brain by simply taking 20 exaggerated breaths in and out. Get the oxygen in as quick as you can and out as quick as you can. When you do the 20, it ignites the conscious brain. That's the good guy. And it's kind of dwarfs the subconscious brain. Now this guy's running the show, which means you're going to succeed that day. Go into the bathroom. If you brush your teeth with your right hand, do a week on the left, week on the right, week on the left, week on the right for a month. Stand in front of the mirror and say, I love you, but stand 6 feet away from the mirror. The optical illusion that human beings have of themselves. So when we stand near the mirror or shaving or women putting makeup on, we see all our faults, okay? Because we're right. When's the last time you went out to work? Hey guys, we don't do that. So stand 6 feet away from the mirror and the optical illusion will change and all the blemishes will go. Do them three things, walk out the house, compliment three people a day, and your whole game will change. Completely change.
Absolutely. Is it ever too late to change the way our brains function?
Definitely not. Definitely not. We bad. I'm 64. I've been using this technique for the past 15 years, and I don't think I'd age that much. I don't think my body's amazing. I've lost 157 pounds in the last probably 18 months. I redesigned my whole self for 20. I'm 62 years old. I'm 64 now, so never, never, never too late. Having said that, it's interesting. We're now doing early research on Alzheimer's and dementia. where we
Yes.
start to lose our short-term memory with the 9D and the red light therapy that we use. We've seen a 13% increase in 3 patients we've been using. So yeah, never too late. Everything can change. And if you're unsure and you're my age, sat at home saying I've never really done anything in your life, today's the day. Whenever you hear this, today's the day. Change your life today. If you're going to a job and you're feeling depressed going there, and you're walking around and your boss is always get another job. If you go home at night time and your partner's moaning and it's like walking on eggshells, get another partner. It's not that easy. It really is that easy. Because what happens there is we either lose our identity to partner or we lose our identity to work. You ever lost your phone anywhere, guys? Most people's identity is in that phone. We scramble as if World War III had just taken place when they can't find our phone. When
Yes.
people retire from a long job they've been doing 40 years, their identity was in the job. So when they step away, they have no identity and they pass away real soon. The day you retire is the day you die. My dad always told me. It's so true. You've always got to be moving forward, always.
Yes. Now, going back to addiction, what are some common myths about addiction recovery and brain health that you wish perhaps more people understood?
Oh my goodness, what a great question. Myths. You didn't get sick overnight, so you can't get well overnight. Wrong. Once I'm an addict, I can never stop taking. Wrong. I can never fully rid and cure addiction. Wrong. Addiction, all the stuff that goes with that, apart from alcoholism, there's no cure for alcoholism. There's no cure for the common cold or food poisoning. So don't freak out. There's a way around it. Addiction is 100% curable. I'm depressed. If I go to the doctor and get some medication for my health, I'll feel better. Wrong. What happens is you get a false serotonin that depletes your own serotonin. Instead of going to the doctors and asking for depressed meds, if he just asks you what your work is like, what your diet is like, what's the family life, how much water you drink and exercise, then he's just a high-paid drug dealer. It's terrible. Why aren't we asking the question before we go? It's why my serotonin is low in the first place. We always want to go to the doctor. There's nothing about addiction. We introduce pharmaceutical drugs. You can't cure drug addiction with a drug. It's just not possible. But yet pharmaceutical companies are making trillions of dollars getting drug addicts hooked on their medication, so they take them off the street medication. It's just a big con. Next one, nobody's coming to rescue you. We always think there is. Well, one day, no. You've got to do it on your own. You've got to move forward on your own. Stagnant people die, especially in our industry. It's a myth. It's absolute. Drug addicts not supposed to be managers or CEOs. It's not true. Look at me and hundreds of thousands of people that I know. I personally worked with 10,000 people with my books and TV and all that stuff. Hundreds of millions probably over the years that I've affected and touched. It's just not true. I grew up on the. I'm a drug addict because I grew up on the projects and I'll never amount to anything. I didn't go to college. Not true. It's 2025. In case you didn't know, unless you want to be a doctor or stuff like that, then your college degree has lost its ROI, unfortunately. It's not worth the paper's run. Let's not get stressed out. And I never went to college. Most of the people that are running huge multi-billion dollar companies now hire people who don't go to college. It's crazy. It's just you gotta split the truth from the false. If I do this, then I can never do. Stop that. And people will tell you can't. By the way, they'll tell you these myths. Oh, don't be silly. You can't create a company. You're just not clever enough. Says who? That's how I
Exactly.
started. When I got one, them two words made me the guy I am today. We run a multi-million-dollar company. I have 4 businesses. I give back. We do some amazing things for the vets and the homeless people. But I started with says who? So when I came to America 20 years ago, I had nothing. I think I had £100 in my pocket. And people said, you can't get on TV. And he says who? You can't do the says who. And I kept saying says who, which shut them for a start, but it convinced me that there is no limit here, guys. There is no brakes on your imagination. And if there is, they've been put there by somebody. Take them off. You can do anything you want to do. Don't ever make a mistake that you can't. Well, tell me one reason why you can't be, let's say, millionaire. People think money brings their happiness. It doesn't, but it's an easy one to explain. Give me one reason why you can't be a millionaire. Well, that's an excuse. Give me a reason. That's an excuse. Because I'll tell you right now, anybody listening to this, if we went to court tomorrow and you brought all the evidence you're going to fail, and I brought all the evidence that you were going to win and be a millionaire, the judge would throw you out of court. In fact, he might even throw you in jail for a day for wasting the court's time. It's possible, man. And that's the only reason why I do this today. I don't do this for money. I don't do this for anything. I do it for one thing. If we can save a life today, if we can create that thought pattern in one person that will spread as he passes it on, we've done our job today. That's the reason I'm still here at 4:25. I don't work after midday. You know, Rosabel's got a podcast. You can't do it till 4. It's like, well, what's she like? You need to meet her. That's what Courtney said. You need to meet this girl. And when she says that, it means it needs to happen. So, yeah, it's a wonderful life. Absolutely.
Yeah, so with that and being said, let's talk a little bit about the future. I know you're building something remarkable, a 100-bed facility that includes children in the recovery process. That's groundbreaking, let me tell you. Tell us more about the Robb Kelly Foundation and this incredible vision.
During I've been with my wife. We've been married 10 years, been together 11. And when I met her, I was out in the industry. And after about 4 months, I got back in the industry and become very wealthy. And we always said, we'll always give back. 25% of our work is pro bono. And we will always give back 6 figures to struggling people. So if you're homeless or if you're an alcoholic that's got well but lost your kids and your wife has left you, we'll pay for you to go to court. We'll pay for an apartment for a year. We'll take you to court. We'll fight for you, pay legal bills to get your kid back so you could see them once a week. My children were estranged for 30 years. So we decided that we give $150,000 back to the community every single year. And we've been doing that for 9 years or something. And then one day somebody said, you need to think bigger. So we created the Robb Kelly Foundation.org, if you want to visit it. And we have big dreams. I work with a lot of celebrities, a lot of high profile people, and we're hoping that they're going to donate. But yeah, I want to build I'll never retire, but before we, move from San Antonio to the beach house somewhere, is a 100-bed facility with a difference. We want 50 beds to not only be free, donations paid for them, but be able to bring the children. In that half of that facility, there will be a housing office where you can get new housing. There'll be benefits where you can claim benefits. There'll be school children. We'll have a school place where you can take and be taught in like homeschooling and be taught in there. So you're never estranged from your children. You can all go through this together. In the other half, we have the guys that can't really be seen out and about, the CEOs and stuff like that. And they'll be charged for their side. It's 2 different programs. But it's like, I don't know, I have this vision that'll work, which will definitely happen. It'll probably take a couple of years to get to it. But I'm the kind of guy that I'm always teachable. I'm always looking for the best thing. I have an assistant with me most of my time. And the reason is I never really thought patterns in the moment. Something comes and let it go. Shanice, my assistant, picks it up and she knows it and she runs with it. Because I'm always thinking, how can I help people? How can I be of benefit tomorrow? I bless people monetarily every time I leave the house, which God's blessed me with, all this money that I'm never going to use. So we're going to bless other people with it. And my blessing somebody, because I was at the signal traffic light the other day, it was on red, and one of the guys said, "Oh, come, asking for money, dressed terrible, homeless." They give me $20. And my friend said, "Oh my God, are you crazy? You know what he's going to do with that, don't you?" And I replied, "I hope he's going to buy drugs and alcohol with it, first of all. But that's not my concern. My concern is giving. What he does with that is none of my business. God wants me to give. He doesn't want me to follow the guys home and find out what he's spending it on. It's not my business." So I think as long as we keep doing that, as long as we keep helping people, people will donate and we'll have that 100-bed facility before we know. But we just want it to be different. We want to do schooling in there. We want college degrees being happening in there. We want, jobs. We want building empires. We'll teach you how to use computers. We'll teach you Word, all that stuff you need for 2025. We're going to teach you. And we're going to make sure that you're educated to what you want to do in life and that your child is always safe. And when you leave us, you move into your own apartment with a steady job, child going to school, and everything's good.
So, how can our listeners support your work or get involved?
Well, the normal job, which is the Robb Kelly Group, robbkelly.com is the website. So if you're listening and not watching, guys, robbkelly, two B's.com. Put Dr. Robb Kelly in any search engine. The robbkellyfoundation.org. Don't forget the two B's. It's the robbkellyfoundation.org. If you can afford $1, please give. If you can't afford $1, write to us. We might be able to pay you something if you're struggling that much. But yeah, come and have some fun. All sorts of beautiful things happen in the next 12 months for all the businesses going in the same direction. We hire felons. The nonprofit hires my restaurant in San Antonio hires felons and people in jail because of alcohol or drugs, and nobody will give you a job. Come and see us. I'll give you a job. It's giving people a second chance, just like I got. I get to have two lives in one lifetime today, and I want other guys going through this, and women and children, teenagers. I want you to have exactly the same experience I've had, man, because this is the only way to live. I don't have anxiety. I don't have depression. I don't have fear today, because really, I don't care what you think about me. It's none of my business. And when you get to that stage, man, that weight off your shoulders, because we're always being judged. We're always being, the subconscious brain is a very interesting point. The subconscious brain is always looking out for something going wrong to match to the trauma that's had stored there. So 10 people can come up to you after you speak somewhere. 9 says you're amazing. 1 says you hasn't. You were terrible. Have a guess who you concentrate on. The one guy. That's childhood trauma. That's the kind of stuff you need to look at and go, I'm doing good. That guy bugged me and I was angry. Now, once you get the childhood trauma, he will be diminished and you will go on to succeed.
Absolutely. And before we go, if you could leave our listeners with one core truth or piece of wisdom that perhaps helped you through your darkest moments, what would it be?
It would be the story I tell every time I do a conference. It's like, we don't know what people are going through. Okay. And this is how you get to the space. There's a guy who walked to the Golden Gate Bridge and threw himself off, committed suicide. Young lad in his 20s. He walked an hour there, by the way. The police pulled him out. They found his ID. He went back to his apartment trying to find next of kin. What they found was a letter on the kitchen table. And it read, and I know this word for word, I've been telling this story for years. I'm going to walk to the Golden Gate Bridge, which is around an hour. I'm going to throw myself off and commit suicide. Unless on the way there, somebody smiles at me, nods at me, says good morning to me. And if that be the case, I'll turn around, I'll go back to the apartment, I'll start again. Here's the final question, guys. How many people have you walked past today who's heading to the Golden Gate Bridge?
We will never know.
Never know. So you always be giving, you always get back. Always be smiling, you always get it back. Just be kind to people, and life will become a lot easier to do because we don't tell each other anymore. Like if you do a good job or nobody says, great job, fantastic, it's amazing. Nobody says that. We just don't, And it's important that we tell each other. I've been pushing this for 10 years. There was a girl, a new nurse started at my Dallas office, and we had an older nurse there who's been with me for about 10 years. And a guy came in, and all the staff kind of knew him. He's depressed, he's angry. And this young nurse had to bring him into my therapy room. I spent an hour with him. He went out, he's high-fiving the nurses, he's hugging the nurses, in the best mood ever. And the young girl looked at the old nurse and said, Dr. Robb Kelly's amazing. Did you see that guy? He's absolutely phenomenal. And the other nurse says, I know, right? Have you told him that? And she went, oh, no. No, I mean, nobody knows. Nobody knows. I'm just putting that out there. Nobody knows. Compliment people, say thank you, lift people up. If you're not lifting people up, don't speak to people. Please. No one's interested in your problems. That's why God gave us sponsors and therapists and doctors. When you meet people, lift them up and it will be repaid back to you. You've been chosen to do this. We're warriors, guys, especially if you come away from mental illness to our side, which is mental wellness. Life will become good, man. Life's worth living.
Absolutely. Life is beautiful despite the difficulties and the dark moments, whatever, but life is beautiful. And remind us again, where can our audience follow your journey, grab books, connect with you online?
Well, I have a book out there called Daddy, Daddy, Please Stop Drinking. It was the last thing my daughter said to me. You can go to Amazon, find it on Amazon. But if you send Rosabel or myself a message, we got 5 books to give away free to you. I'll sign them and pay for shipping and pay for the book and everything. But listen, guys, before you go, I need to tell you a quick story about my daughter. So my daughter was estranged. The authorities took them, the both girls, off me, and that was it. Mom took them and never seen them again. 30 years on, which was 4 years ago, I get a message on Messenger, and it's from my daughter, and it says, "Hey, Dad," and she called me Dad. "I just seen you on TV. I want to see you. I have something to show you." So as you can imagine, we're surrounded by a lot of people that do things for us. So within 4 hours, we're on a plane heading to England. We stayed in a hotel overnight. I went there the next day. We stood outside the door. She opened the door. I was so nervous. And we hugged and we cried. And then she took me by my hand and she walked me into her living room. She handed me my 3 month. That's clearing up the mental health. That has a God in your life, a supreme being. This is the stuff that happens when you help people. It might take 30 years like me. I hope it doesn't. But at the end of the day, you get repaid. She's my lead therapist now in my Manchester office in the UK.
Wow. I don't know about you all, but I just feel changed from just hearing from Dr. Kelly's stories. I mean, it's not just about addiction recovery, it's about reclaiming your power, reprogramming your brain, your life, and never giving up. Well, let me tell you, folks, if this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend, drop a review, and hit that subscription button on the Life Unscripted. And of course, follow and support Dr. Robb Kelly's the incredible work that he's doing. So until next time, stay curious, stay strong, keep living life unscripted because life is beautiful. Thank you so much, Dr. Robb, for being here with us today.
Thank you so much.